The Mass Effect Trilogy is a series with a lot of phenomenal quests and stories for us to explore, but that's not what we're doing today. In this video, we're going to discuss the 5 worst quests in Mass Effect Legendary Edition that players would usually rather skip. Number 1. Scanning the Keepers, Mass Effect 1. Shortly after meeting with the Council, Commander Shepard and crew will stumble upon a shady Solarian named Chorbin, who will provide us with one of the most infamous fetch quests in the entire franchise. He asks us to use our Omni tool to scan the Keepers, the big bug-like creatures which help maintain the Citadel. There are 21 of these bad boys scattered throughout the entirety of the Citadel, and if you're not systematic about making a mental note of where you've already searched, you can spend countless time trying to find them all. I can't tell you how many times I ended up scanning 19 or 20 of the Keepers, only to aimlessly wander in search of that final one. Sadly, there is no way to tell whether you've already scanned one without walking up to them, and there are no map markers or way to track your progress other than the total counter in your quest journal. There's also a bug that may prevent one of the Keepers from showing up, forcing you to reload a save to progress the mission. It's a potentially frustrating quest without that much payoff in the end, since your reward for completing the whole thing is a meager amount of credits. Now, there are some more interesting spin-off quests and lore that you can discover if you embark on this assignment. For instance, Chorbin's business partner, a Volus named Jalid, accuses Chorbin of trying to assassinate him and enlists the commander's help in dealing with his estranged research partner. Shepard will have several choices in how to deal with the situation. Also, you'll receive a message from Chorbin in Mass Effect 2 with his discovery that the Keepers were genetically engineered by the Reapers, a fact which we also learned from Vigil on Ilos in the first game. But the thing is, you don't even need to scan all the Keepers to get all of the more interesting quests and content. You simply need to accept the assignment and maybe scan 1 or 2 of them to kick things off. I always tell myself I'm going to skip this quest every time I play Mass Effect, but the completionist in me always wins out in the end. Number 2. Collecting gas deposits and minerals, Mass Effect 1. The first Mass Effect game has a lot of inconsequential fetch quests for the player to complete, but none are more pointless than collecting minerals and gas deposits for the Alliance. As you explore the galaxy, you can scan a variety of planets to collect these resources, or complete hacking minigames when you're planet-side to recover a variety of rocks. Why you'd need to hack a gold deposit with your Omni tool is beyond me, but that's video game logic. With the other fetch quests in Mass Effect, there is at least some story and lore you can glean from them, such as recovering Prothean data disks or Asari matriarch writings. The latter of which can even have a consequence during Conrad Werner's side quest in Mass Effect 3.
Oh no, it's in an ancient Asari dialect. We'd need a lot of ancient Asari writing to translate.
Would this collection of Asari matriarch writings help?
Yes. Yes, it would. Okay, it's auto-translating.
But the minerals yield us nothing story-wise or gameplay-wise other than a few more credits. It's a boring adventure that most players will either completely forget about or skip entirely. Number 3. Firewalker Missions, Mass Effect 2. The Mass Effect series has a lot of riveting and memorable expansions. Bring Down the Sky, Lair of the Shadow Broker, Arrival, and Citadel, just to name a few. But Mass Effect 2's Firewalker DLC is one of the most pointless and forgettable expansions in the entire series. For starters, you have to complete the missions with the Hammerhead, aka the most dogshit vehicle in all of Mass Effect. Also, you never really interact with any characters for the entirety of the runtime. You only collect a series of logs that detail this research project. If you Google Mass Effect 2 Firewalker, the top 2 related searches are, do I need to do Firewalker Mass Effect 2? And what is the point of the Firewalker DLC? You know, I've been asking myself the same question. I usually skip this DLC because it's not really all that interesting. But the TLDR of the story is this. Cerberus sends Commander Shepard to investigate a research team that went missing. You track them to a volcano, shoot some geth, collect some data about Prothean artifacts, And yeah, that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, this whole DLC pack was just a way to milk more screen time for the Hammerhead and take more money from the player. It's packaged into Legendary Edition today at no additional cost, but I'd say don't waste your time. Just skip this one. Number 4, Pinnacle Station, Mass Effect 1. Speaking of Mass Effect's worst expansions, Pinnacle Station is near the top of the list. Developed by a third-party company called Demiurge Studios, Pinnacle Station feels nothing like Mass Effect. It's simply a glorified combat simulator with little to no story for the player to experience. Unlike Bring Down the Sky, which offers a bunch of new lore on the Batarians and a range of choices at the end of the DLC, Pinnacle Station is all about that combat, baby! Now, the expansion isn't awful per se, just underwhelming compared to other content in the franchise. There are some upsides to Pinnacle Station, though. For instance, Commander Shepard gets a pretty badass apartment, and you can farm some of the best gear in the game from the sale terminal. But the expansion lacks any player choices or impactful storytelling that we typically expect in Mass Effect. Hilariously, this expansion was excluded from Mass Effect Legendary Edition because neither BioWare nor the contractors who made the DLC had access to the original source code, so BioWare couldn't successfully port the content over without rebuilding it from scratch, a task they estimated would take 6 months of development time. If you're itching to play Pinnacle Station, there is a mod you can download on PC that restores the content. This mod was released about 6 months after Legendary Edition came out, so perhaps that BioWare time estimate on development was on the money after all. In any case, you're not missing out on much if you skip Pinnacle Station. Number 5, Planet Scanning, Mass Effect 3. The finale of the Mass Effect Trilogy has a lot of side content for the player to complete while recruiting allies for the war against the Reapers. But out of all the side quests in ME3, nothing feels more undercooked than the search and rescue missions. These tasks involve Commander Shepard heading to the galaxy map, clicking scan in a system, and recovering random artifacts, soldiers, or resources to help the war effort, all the while trying to outrun the Reapers on the map if you scan too many times in one go. Some of the text descriptions for these missions are compelling, such as the impact of the war on the Elcor homeworld. The Elcor flotilla possesses a few cruisers and carriers, but its real value is troop transport. Because of their shape, the Elcor carry shoulder-mounted heavy weapons. VI-run systems handle reloading, targeting, and ammunition selection. It is not unusual to see a troop of Elcor soldiers toting rocket launchers, chain guns, and other intimidating weapons on their backs as if they weigh nothing at all. Damn, that would be badass to see. Too bad it's relegated to a text description. I guess it's another testament to how rushed the development was on Mass Effect 3. Despite their unexciting gameplay, I still usually complete these missions for the sake of the war assets, which can have a slight impact on the ending. So there you have it, the 5 worst quests that most players hate in Mass Effect Legendary Edition. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more Mass Effect and RPG videos. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.